Fanake, who stayed forward from the corner. Kraft's able to cut it out, and that's a better clear ball from Emil Kraft. He's found St. Maximin, who's supported by Joe Linton, edge of the City box. Joe Linton on his left foot, shot blocked by Kyle Walker and behind for a Newcastle corner. That is what they've been looking for over the course of these opening 24 minutes, Newcastle. The quality hasn't been there. The opportunity hasn't been there really for them in these opening exchanges, but at last they were able to get St. Maximin and Joe Linton working in tandem. And Joe Linton there, the shot was well blocked by Kyle Walker. Caught a bit of a painful blow as he threw his body in the way there, the England fullback, but he's managed to deflect it behind for Newcastle's second corner of the game, and he's back on his feet now. Walker just hobbling back into position, looks to be okay, but this is an opportunity for Newcastle from the set piece. Fernandez is forward from the back. Shelvey whips it towards the far post, and it's headed into the back of the net, and it's Emil Kraft who puts Newcastle United in front against the run of play completely. But credit, that's the Newcastle game plan. They're happy to sit back. They're happy to soak up pressure. No clean sheet on Scott Carson on his return to action. And Emil Kraft is an unlikely scorer, just as Paul Dummett was a week ago at the King Power Stadium. It's a very similar goal. This one from the other side of the pitch, whipped in by Shelvey, and Kraft unmarked. He's in between two City players, Nathan Ake and João Cancelo, and he heads the ball beyond Scott Carson. No chance for the goalkeeper, and Newcastle lead. Shock scoreline at St James's Park. It's Newcastle 1, Manchester City 0. It's completely against the run of play. City have been dominating, but Newcastle, a counter-attack at the other end between St Maximin and Joe Linton forced the corner. Shelvey whipped the set piece into the box, and there was Emil Kraft to head home from close range. Free header. It's poor marking from a City point of view. Kraft ghosting in between João Cancelo and Nathan Ake and finds the back of the net. No chance for Scott Carson in the City goal. So Newcastle have something to hold on to now. So far the game plan is working perfectly. It's Newcastle 1, Manchester City 0. Not the title celebration that City were necessarily looking for in this game. But they lost to Chelsea last week. They won't want to lose back-to-back Premier League games in a row. Still a long way to go in this game, of course, and you know, City were dominating the ball in the territory and the score was 0-0. I imagine it's going to intensify even more with Newcastle having 3 points to hold on to rather than just one. Still the best part of 20 minutes of this first half to go. Rodri works out to Raheem Sterling on the left-hand side. He's up against Jacob Murphy. Tries to get towards the byline. It's well challenged there by Murphy, and he prevents the corner as well. The wing-back hooks the ball upfield towards St Maximin, but that one will go out into touch for a throw-in to City around about on the halfway line. Doesn't score many goals, Emil Kraft. I mentioned Paul Dummett scored against Leicester last week. That was his first goal since January 2016. I'm struggling to remember Emil Kraft ever scoring for Newcastle before this, the Sweden international, who defended really well actually, along with the rest of the Newcastle players in these opening exchanges. Certainly his first Premier League goal. And yeah, I don't think he has previously scored for Newcastle United, so a landmark moment for him. He'll be hoping it can count for plenty in terms of the result as well. As the ball worked out to the left-hand side with João Cancelo. Now Ake worked across towards Kyle Walker, who can keep the ball moving out towards the right-hand side. Cancelo will drift infield away from Matt Ritchie, finds Walker once again, who switches out to the left-hand flank, finds his opposite fullback Cancelo, who again looking to take on Murphy. Again though, Murphy doing a really good job. One of the most improved players this season, you would argue, Jacob Murphy. Pretty much a regular starter at right wing-back now for Newcastle in this 3-5-2 formation, 5-3-2, whatever you want to call it, and not just an ability to go forward as he's always had because he's come through as a winger, but his ability to defend as well is really impressive, and he's had a tough time so far this evening, or a busy time up against Raheem Sterling and João Cancelo, but he's doing pretty well as City look to work their way through a central area. Kraft, though, in the way of Jesus' attempt to get into the penalty area. It will come back out to Sterling on the left-hand side once again. Ooh, it's a loose touch though from Raheem Sterling. That allows Joe Willock to nip in. He can bring the ball forward. Sterling chasing back. Willock showing plenty of pace and poise. Carries it over the halfway line. Pulls it in towards Joe Linton, who slips as he tried to adjust his feet to control the pass. And it breaks down the move. Much of the frustration of Willock, who'd done such good work to get up to that area of the pitch. Now City will come forward. Ferran Torres into Rodri. Gundogan pirouettes. Looks to tee up Sterling on the edge of the area. Challenge comes in from Willock. Now Newcastle just struggling to clear their lines. Fernandez has given it away. Jesus now coming in from the left, trying to clip a ball into the box. Blocked by Shelvey. One or two half-hearted appeals for handball from the Manchester City players, but Kevin Friend not interested. And the visitors will now have to start again inside their own half. Remember, Newcastle lead the champions Manchester City by 1-0. Emil Kraft's first goal for the club, the difference between the two sides. The goal coming against the run of play, and it has been all City really, other than the goal. Although they haven't created an awful lot. That might change now. Torres. Was he fouled by Miguel Almiron? Yes, he was, says the referee. Be a free kick to City in a dangerous position. Right-hand side. About 5 yards outside the penalty box, the corner of the box, to give you an idea of the angle. A clear foul by Almiron on Torres. Can have no complaints. We've tipped beyond the 30-minute mark. Can City muster up from this set piece? Bernardo Silva standing over the ball. Gundogan as well. Angle a little bit wide, maybe for a direct strike towards goal. Certainly not an obvious one, although actually it's a little bit more central than I initially thought. So maybe, certainly the left foot of Bernardo Silva might fancy whipping this towards goal. It's a four-man Newcastle wall. No City one in front of it, and no man lying down behind the wall from Newcastle, as we've been grown accustomed to seeing over the course of this season. Bernardo Silva will leave it instead for Gundogan, who goes for the low route round the wall, but rather scuffed it in truth. And it's an easy save for Martin Dubravka. Again, will take his time before distributing the ball forward. Newcastle still lead Manchester City by 1-0. Emil Kraft's first goal for the club, the difference between the two sides. And City, you know, they were dominating before Newcastle got in front. They're still dominating in terms of possession now, but not creating an awful lot. And Newcastle defending really strongly, it has to be said, as they did for large parts against Leicester last week. The only real effort on goal City have had over recent minutes, a free kick from Ilkay Gundogan that went straight down the throat of Martin Dubravka. So, dare I say, Newcastle looking comfortable defensively at the moment, but it is only Newcastle 1, Manchester City 0. Gundogan with the ball at his feet, 35 yards from the Newcastle goal. Pulls it back to Walker now. Nathan Ake. To the left-hand side, clipped into the box by Cancelo. Jesus and Fernandez challenging for the ball. It goes behind. Newcastle say goal kick. City say corner. Referee agrees with the Premier League champions. So, corner to Manchester City. Fernandez is certainly not happy with that decision. I must admit, it does look like it comes off the back of Gabriel Jesus last. Fernandez seeming to head it against the back of the Brazilian. So more defending for Newcastle to do. They scored from a corner. Can City do likewise? Gundogan whips it into the box. Well headed clear by Dummett. Almiron now to St. Maximin. Work back towards Miguel Almiron, who's breaking forward. Kyle Walker should have the pace to deal with him. He has held him up. Almiron supported by Willock. Ake gets back with a strong challenge, but the referee has given a free kick. It looked like Nathan Ake won plenty of the ball. He cannot believe it. He's incensed. Almiron stayed down. It may well be a case of one of those challenges where Ake's gone through the man to get the ball. Just looking at a replay now, and yeah, maybe he does just catch Almiron. I'd say he gets more ball than man, but I suppose if he gets man first, then the referee is right to give the free kick, which will be in a pretty dangerous position. Just looking back at the corner from City as well, because Rodri's gone down. Dummett, when he was winning the header, just caught Rodri with a stray arm. No real appeals for a foul there, but he has done some damage to the midfielder, Paul Dummett. Ice pack on his eye at the moment. Almiron's back on his feet from the Ake challenge and hobbling, so one or two fitness concerns as we approach the final 11 minutes of this first half. Newcastle 1, Manchester City 0. Rodri might be sporting a black eye by tomorrow morning, the way he's got that ice over the right eye. Because he's received treatment, he won't be on the field for City from a defensive point of view. The free kick is left of centre, suiting the right foot of John Joe Shelvey, who looks the primary candidate to step up and take this. Ritchie's there as well as a left-footed option. City do have a man, Bernardo Silva, lying down behind what is a four-man wall. It's about an ideal position, 25 yards out for John Joe Shelvey to look to strike this towards goal against Scott Carson. Shelvey whips it off the crossbar from John Joe Shelvey. Carson diving. I don't think he was getting anywhere near it. Newcastle United a whisker away from making it 2-0. Shelvey's gone down challenging for the second ball. City can't quite counter-attack on this occasion. Loose touch from Raheem Sterling. But that was absolutely brilliant from John Joe Shelvey. He's inches away from putting Newcastle United 2 goals to the good. Will they regret that, not finding the top corner? Ritchie's just been penalised for a foul on Ferran Torres down the Newcastle left, and he's going to pick up the game's first yellow card as well. It's on Gabriel Jesus, in fact. He rather rugby tackles Jesus to the ground, fouls him with his feet, and then makes sure he's not continuing forward by wrapping his arms around the midriff of the Manchester City forward. Second booking of the season for Ritchie, incidentally. Kyle Walker now for Manchester City, down the line to Jesus. Back in it goes to Walker, who switches across to the left-hand side, but there's too much on that cross-field ball. Cancelo won't be able to keep it in play. Shelvey is back on his feet, incidentally. Looking at his free kick again, whips it over the top of the wall. Full stretch. Carson wasn't getting there. It's the underside of the crossbar as much as anything as well from John Joe Shelvey. Brilliant effort. So unfortunate not to double Newcastle United's lead. And for all City's play, Newcastle don't just lead, but they've also had the next best opportunity in the game. Shelvey just the one Premier League goal this season, that coming against Crystal Palace in a 2-1 defeat back in February. Quite the goals return that he'll have been looking for, and we know he's capable of as well. The Newcastle skipper does have a deeper role these days, it has to be said. Sitting there at the base of a very attacking looking midfield three, actually, from Newcastle, if you break it down, with Almiron and Willock certainly having more licence to get forward. It's Kyle Walker for Manchester City. Works it out to the left-hand side with Ake. Back in it goes to Walker once again. Finds Bernardo Silva. Pocket of space for the Portuguese. Keeps it moving out to Gabriel Jesus on the right-hand side. Return to Silva. Held up by Almiron. Doing a good defensive job there, Miguel Almiron. Bernardo Silva now infield. Cancelo. Sterling, left-hand corner of the Newcastle box again, taking on Murphy. This time he gets the better of Jacob Murphy. Pulled back into the area. Hook clear by Ritchie. Garcia now for City, finds Ake. Cancelo, nice little ball into the feet of Rodri. He's recovered from that facial injury. Holds off the challenge of Almiron, but City forced backwards towards the halfway line once again. Ake has it. From Ake to João Cancelo. Sterling again, will he have another run at Murphy? He will, but Murphy holds him up well. Sterling does retain the possession though. Shifts it back out towards João Cancelo. Down the line it goes to Gundogan. Hook cross. Touch from Torres trying to tee up Rodri, who can't quite get a shot away. Still in the penalty area though. He tees it back to Cancelo, who drives towards goal. It takes a deflection and flies into the bottom corner of the net. And 7 minutes out from half time, the champions are back on level terms. João Cancelo driving a right-footed effort into the penalty area. Not really a shot to nothing in a lot of ways, but it takes a deflection on the way through. Again, it was probing, patient play for Manchester City. Rodri teeing up Cancelo. Just inside the area, I think it's the unfortunate Jacob Murphy who goes to block the shot from Cancelo, off the back of his left calf, and spins away from Martin Dubravka and into the back of the net. And I suppose on the balance of play, you can't argue that Manchester City aren't deservedly back on level terms. It's all level at St James's Park. Newcastle 1, Manchester City 1, and João Cancelo is the scorer of City's equalising goal, his second Premier League goal of the season, although there's a huge slice of luck about how the ball ends up in the back of the net. Rodri pulls it back to the left-hand corner of the penalty box for Manchester City, looking to find Cancelo, who strikes towards goal. It's a shot to nothing, but the effort takes a wicked deflection off the back of the calf of Jacob Murphy and flies beyond Martin Dubravka and into the back of the net. So game on again at St James's Park. It's all level. Newcastle 1, Manchester City 1. Yeah, as I mentioned, Cancelo's second Premier League goal of the season has restored parity in this game. Newcastle would have set themselves the goal of holding out till half-time. They haven't been able to do that and could well just give City a lift now to go for the jugular and try and get their noses in front before the half-time break. Newcastle 1, Manchester City 1 is the scoreline. Nathan Ake in possession for City. Works out to Sterling. Now the goal scorer Cancelo gets it back off Ake. Ake now driving through the middle of the park, works it back out to the left. It's Raheem Sterling up against Murphy. City again doing the majority of their probing down this left-hand side. Back into the feet now of Gundogan, and Cancelo there as well. And Cancelo's been brought down by Murphy, so it'll be a free kick to Manchester City over on the left-hand side. A really good crossing position. Ake and Garcia making their way forward. Gundogan is the man standing over the free kick, although he's being joined by Bernardo Silva to provide a left-footed option, just about a yard or so away from the touchline on the left-hand flank. Two-man Newcastle wall. City do have options on the edge of the area. They could work it short, but Gundogan does whip it in with pace, and it's flicked on superbly into the back of the net by Ferran Torres. And City, in the space of a couple of minutes, have come from 1-0 down, and they now lead Newcastle by 2-1, and that is what champions do, and that's exactly what Manchester City are. Not a very City-esque goal. VAR might have a look, but I'm pretty sure Torres is onside. Jesus behind him might not have been, but he was not involved. It's a brilliant finish. He's back-heeled it, Ferran Torres, into the back of the net. He's beyond the front post. And yeah, he's back-heeled that absolutely superbly beyond Martin Dubravka's outstretched dive. Nothing the goalkeeper can do. It's brilliant technique. And just brilliant from Ferran Torres all round. It's a better goal than you initially think it is, actually. And Manchester City are now in front. It hasn't taken Manchester City long to come from behind and now lead this game by 2-1. Ferran Torres scoring. Ilkay Gundogan for free kick from the left-hand side, whipped in towards the front post. Torres backheels the ball superbly across that front post and into the back of the net. It's a superb goal from Torres. Dubravka at full stretch can't get there, and Manchester City in the space of a few minutes have come from behind to lead Newcastle United at St James's Park by 2-1. And it's Torres' 5th goal of the season. VAR was just having a look there, and the lines were coming up as well, the infamous lines to see if he was onside. He was. From a neutral point of view, that's a relief, because it would have been a real shame to see such a brilliant goal ruled out. It hasn't been. And City, as I say, 2-1 up now at St James's Park. Emil Kraft putting Newcastle in front, but quick fire goals from Cancelo. That one was a little bit lucky, but nothing lucky about Torres' goal to put City in front, as a yellow card is out from Kevin Friend once again. This time it's for Rodri. First City player booked this evening. The Spaniard coming across and had his hands all over Joe Willock, so another easy yellow card for Kevin Friend. Rodri's 5th caution of the season. He joins Matt Ritchie in the referee's notebook. Free kick whipped in towards the edge of the box by Newcastle, but headed away by that man Rodri. It will come to Ritchie on the left-hand side. He'll help the ball back into the air. It's a really good cross, and throwing his head at it was Joe Linton. And he heads just wide of the target there, the Brazilian, or just over the top actually. Great ball in from Ritchie from a deep area. Aimed in towards both where Willock and Joe Linton were. And Joe Linton diving header. Just couldn't get the effort on target. But this has been a very entertaining first half, as we hoped it would be, considering there's no pressure on either side now, with Newcastle's safety having been guaranteed and City having wrapped up the Premier League title. It's certainly been a good watch, although Steve Bruce will not be particularly happy with how the first half is now panning out, with his side trailing by 2-1. Ritchie there beating Jesus in the air. Drops to Joe Linton. Now Shelvey over the top towards St. Maximin, just too much on it. Scott Carson is quickly out to gather the ball at his feet. Finds Ake. Rodri now forward towards Raheem Sterling in the central area. He can turn. Jesus, little flick to Bernardo Silva. Back into Sterling. A lot of these City players as well are on the fringes of what you describe as Pep Guardiola's strongest starting 11, so they'll be looking to state their claim for a place in the starting lineup for the Champions League final against Chelsea at the end of the month, as we enter 3 minutes of stoppage time at the end of this eventful first half. Jesus wriggles away from Willock, tries to feed it back into Cancelo, who continued his run into the area, breaks to Sterling. Now Bernardo Silva out towards Ferran Torres, whose cross from the right is blocked by Ritchie, and it goes out for a throw rather than a corner. Newcastle cannot afford to concede a third goal, you would imagine, before the half-time break. City tails up, sensing they could double their advantage heading into half-time. Walker throwing to Gundogan, who lovely whip round the corner towards Cancelo, who's taking on Murphy into the area. Murphy can't challenge. Cancelo digs out a cross. Shelvey's there to nod clear. Murphy then challenged superbly by Cancelo to win it back. It's a real battle down that side of the pitch at the moment. Raheem Sterling falls backwards to Rodri. And it goes to Nathan Ake and across to Walker, who whips the ball down the right-hand channel. Torres held up by Ritchie. Falls back towards the halfway line. Eric Garcia. Might be one of his final City appearances this evening, if he does seal that move to Barcelona in the summer, which is looking more and more likely. Gundogan. Out to Bernardo Silva, who holds off Ritchie. Rodri back to Walker. Now Ake. Got about a minute of stoppage time remaining. Ake, that's a good ball into the feet of Jesus. He's trapped by Almiron. Jesus goes back out wide to the left with João Cancelo. Jesus once again might think about the shot. No, rolls it into Gundogan's feet. Very tight and intricate once again from City. Gundogan, corner of the box, lifts another cross into the area. Ritchie's diving header gets it away. He'll drop to Rodri. But his ball forward is behind Bernardo Silva. Almiron can bring it clear. Links up with Joe Linton. Newcastle can counter Almiron. Lovely ball around the corner. St. Maximin hasn't quite got the legs initially to get away from Garcia. Can he find a teammate? He can. It's Joe Linton dancing into the area. Joe Linton for Newcastle. Is that a penalty? Nathan Ake sliding in. Kevin Friend takes a long, hard look. And I'm wondering if he's actually given an offside. Has the referee's assistant raised his flag? Or is Kevin Friend just taking instruction from the VAR team? He hasn't pointed to the spot. He puts his arm in the air. I'm wondering if he is getting some information from the VAR team. They're going to check initially whether St. Maximin was offside from the initial through ball. Lovely play by St. Maximin actually to hold the play up. Find Joe Linton, who breaks into the area, feints to shoot, tries to cut back inside, and was his standing leg? Yeah, his leg was caught by Ake as he's cutting back. That's a penalty for me. You know, Joe Linton feints the shoot. Ake sliding to block, and his momentum takes him into the trailing leg of Joe Linton. For me, that has to be a penalty. Kevin Friend still taking word from the officials. I can imagine he's probably going to come across and watch this himself. They've checked the possibility of a penalty. Now they're going back and checking the offside again. It doesn't look like St. Maximin's offside. Looks like he's timed his run perfectly when Miguel Almiron plays that ball. We've had 4 minutes of stoppage time now at the end of this first half. Kevin Friend is still taking instructions. Players from both teams are around the referee and in dialogue with him. The fact they're looking at the offside, though, would suggest to me that they do think it's a penalty and they just got to make sure that he's not offside. But all the lines are coming up. You do not need the lines in this situation. St. Maximin is clearly onside. Well, they're wanting to be thorough, and yet the onside call has been made. So for me, that means they must be at least going to get the referee across to check to see if this is a penalty. Great feat from Joe Linton. He probably should have got a shot away. He does try and check back in. He's running into traffic. So he's fortunate in a way that Ake has caught him. But the big thing is that Ake has caught the Newcastle striker. So a penalty seems the only course of action. And the referee has pointed to the spot. So we do have a penalty. Ake penalised for the foul on Joe Linton, who is going to step up to take this spot kick then. A big moment at the end of this first half, and Joe Linton, the man fouled, hasn't scored many goals at all. That's a bit of an understatement since his club record move from Hoffenheim a couple of summers ago. But this would be a great time to step up and add to his tally from the spot against the champions to draw Newcastle level on the stroke of half-time. What a story it would be as well. Scott Carson, on his first Premier League appearance in 10 years, his first appearance of any sort in over 2. Could he make a name for himself? Joe Linton has missed 2 of his last 3 spot kicks, incidentally. Not a glowing record by any manner of means. But he will step up. 12 yards out. Joe Linton against Carson. Right-footed, rifled into the back of the net. Carson guesses the right way, but he can't keep it out. Newcastle are back on level terms right at the stroke of half-time in this topsy-turvy match at St James's Park. It's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. The goal from the penalty spot. Joe Linton converting the spot kick after he himself was fouled in the area. Another Newcastle counter-attack. Joe Linton brought down by Nathan Ake. The referee, Kevin Friend, didn't initially point to the spot, but he took the advice of VAR, who checked an offside, who checked to see if it was a foul. They decided there was no offside. They decided it was a foul, and Joe Linton did the rest from 12 yards. Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. His third goal in 7 appearances in the Premier League, Joe Linton, so that poor goal-scoring record appears to be getting a little bit better, it has to be said. And a goal like that will do him the world of good. So 4 goals in this very eventful first half, which is 52 minutes old now. We're at Kevin Friend's discretion how long he will add on. It took 2 or 3 minutes with the VAR call. Long ball forward from City looking towards Gundogan, but I'll run through to Martin Dubravka. To launch this ball forward, I would imagine, and that could signal the end of the first half. And indeed, he won't even get the opportunity to do that. So a fantastic first half of football at St James's Park ends Newcastle United 2, Manchester City 2. Join us for second half coverage of this Premier League Friday night bonanza in around 15 minutes' time. At the break, it's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. Emil Kraft heading home from a corner on 25 minutes put Newcastle in front. João Cancelo's deflected effort levelled things up for City on 39 minutes before 3 minutes later a superb flick from Ferran Torres from a Gundogan free kick made it 2-1 to the champions. But on the stroke of half-time, Joe Linton fouled in the box by Nathan Ake. Penalty not initially given, but VAR intervened. Kevin Friend then pointed to the spot and Joe Linton converted to make it 2-2 at the break. At the break, it's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. Emil Kraft heading home from a corner on 25 minutes put Newcastle in front. João Cancelo's deflected effort levelled things up for City on 39 minutes before 3 minutes later a superb flick from Ferran Torres from a Gundogan free kick made it 2-1 to the champions. But on the stroke of half-time, Joe Linton fouled in the box by Nathan Ake. Penalty not initially given, but VAR intervened. Kevin Friend then pointed to the spot and Joe Linton converted to make it 2-2 at the break. At the break, it's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. Emil Kraft heading home from a corner on 25 minutes put Newcastle in front. João Cancelo's deflected effort levelled things up for City on 39 minutes before 3 minutes later a superb flick from Ferran Torres from a Gundogan free kick made it 2-1 to the champions. But on the stroke of half-time, Joe Linton fouled in the box by Nathan Ake. Penalty not initially given, but VAR intervened. Kevin Friend then pointed to the spot and Joe Linton converted to make it 2-2 at the break. At the break, it's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. Emil Kraft heading home from a corner on 25 minutes put Newcastle in front. João Cancelo's deflected effort levelled things up for City on 39 minutes before 3 minutes later a superb flick from Ferran Torres from a Gundogan free kick made it 2-1 to the champions. But on the stroke of half-time, Joe Linton fouled in the box by Nathan Ake. Penalty not initially given, but VAR intervened. Kevin Friend then pointed to the spot and Joe Linton converted to make it 2-2 at the break. At the break, it's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. Emil Kraft heading home from a corner on 25 minutes put Newcastle in front. João Cancelo's deflected effort levelled things up for City on 39 minutes before 3 minutes later a superb flick from Ferran Torres from a Gundogan free kick made it 2-1 to the champions. But on the stroke of half-time, Joe Linton fouled in the box by Nathan Ake. Penalty not initially given, but VAR intervened. Kevin Friend then pointed to the spot and Joe Linton converted to make it 2-2 at the break. At the break, it's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. Emil Kraft heading home from a corner on 25 minutes put Newcastle in front. João Cancelo's deflected effort levelled things up for City on 39 minutes before 3 minutes later a superb flick from Ferran Torres from a Gundogan free kick made it 2-1 to the champions. But on the stroke of half-time, Joe Linton fouled in the box by Nathan Ake. Penalty not initially given, but VAR intervened. Kevin Friend then pointed to the spot and Joe Linton converted to make it 2-2 at the break. At the break, it's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. Emil Kraft heading home from a corner on 25 minutes put Newcastle in front. João Cancelo's deflected effort levelled things up for City on 39 minutes before 3 minutes later a superb flick from Ferran Torres from a Gundogan free kick made it 2-1 to the champions. But on the stroke of half-time, Joe Linton fouled in the box by Nathan Ake. Penalty not initially given, but VAR intervened. Kevin Friend then pointed to the spot and Joe Linton converted to make it 2-2 at the break. At the break, it's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. Emil Kraft heading home from a corner on 25 minutes put Newcastle in front. João Cancelo's deflected effort levelled things up for City on 39 minutes before 3 minutes later a superb flick from Ferran Torres from a Gundogan free kick made it 2-1 to the champions. But on the stroke of half-time, Joe Linton fouled in the box by Nathan Ake. Penalty not initially given, but VAR intervened. Kevin Friend then pointed to the spot and Joe Linton converted to make it 2-2 at the break. At the break, it's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. Emil Kraft heading home from a corner on 25 minutes put Newcastle in front. João Cancelo's deflected effort levelled things up for City on 39 minutes before 3 minutes later a superb flick from Ferran Torres from a Gundogan free kick made it 2-1 to the champions. But on the stroke of half-time, Joe Linton fouled in the box by Nathan Ake. Penalty not initially given, but VAR intervened. Kevin Friend then pointed to the spot and Joe Linton converted to make it 2-2 at the break. At the break, it's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. Emil Kraft heading home from a corner on 25 minutes put Newcastle in front. João Cancelo's deflected effort levelled things up for City on 39 minutes before 3 minutes later a superb flick from Ferran Torres from a Gundogan free kick made it 2-1 to the champions. But on the stroke of half-time, Joe Linton fouled in the box by Nathan Ake. Penalty not initially given, but VAR intervened. Kevin Friend then pointed to the spot and Joe Linton converted to make it 2-2 at the break. At the break, it's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. Emil Kraft heading home from a corner on 25 minutes put Newcastle in front. João Cancelo's deflected effort levelled things up for City on 39 minutes before 3 minutes later a superb flick from Ferran Torres from a Gundogan free kick made it 2-1 to the champions. But on the stroke of half-time, Joe Linton fouled in the box by Nathan Ake. Penalty not initially given, but VAR intervened. Kevin Friend then pointed to the spot and Joe Linton converted to make it 2-2 at the break. At the break, it's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. Emil Kraft heading home from a corner on 25 minutes put Newcastle in front. João Cancelo's deflected effort levelled things up for City on 39 minutes before 3 minutes later a superb flick from Ferran Torres from a Gundogan free kick made it 2-1 to the champions. But on the stroke of half-time, Joe Linton fouled in the box by Nathan Ake. Penalty not initially given, but VAR intervened. Kevin Friend then pointed to the spot and Joe Linton converted to make it 2-2 at the break. At the break, it's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. Emil Kraft heading home from a corner on 25 minutes put Newcastle in front. João Cancelo's deflected effort levelled things up for City on 39 minutes before 3 minutes later a superb flick from Ferran Torres from a Gundogan free kick made it 2-1 to the champions. But on the stroke of half-time, Joe Linton fouled in the box by Nathan Ake. Penalty not initially given, but VAR intervened. Kevin Friend then pointed to the spot and Joe Linton converted to make it 2-2 at the break. At the break, it's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. Emil Kraft heading home from a corner on 25 minutes put Newcastle in front. João Cancelo's deflected effort levelled things up for City on 39 minutes before 3 minutes later a superb flick from Ferran Torres from a Gundogan free kick made it 2-1 to the champions. But on the stroke of half-time, Joe Linton fouled in the box by Nathan Ake. Penalty not initially given, but VAR intervened. Kevin Friend then pointed to the spot and Joe Linton converted to make it 2-2 at the break. At the break, it's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. Emil Kraft heading home from a corner on 25 minutes put Newcastle in front. João Cancelo's deflected effort levelled things up for City on 39 minutes before 3 minutes later a superb flick from Ferran Torres from a Gundogan free kick made it 2-1 to the champions. But on the stroke of half-time, Joe Linton fouled in the box by Nathan Ake. Penalty not initially given, but VAR intervened. Kevin Friend then pointed to the spot and Joe Linton converted to make it 2-2 at the break. At the break, it's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. Emil Kraft heading home from a corner on 25 minutes put Newcastle in front. João Cancelo's deflected effort levelled things up for City on 39 minutes before 3 minutes later a superb flick from Ferran Torres from a Gundogan free kick made it 2-1 to the champions. But on the stroke of half-time, Joe Linton fouled in the box by Nathan Ake. Penalty not initially given, but VAR intervened. Kevin Friend then pointed to the spot and Joe Linton converted to make it 2-2 at the break. At the break, it's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. Emil Kraft heading home from a corner on 25 minutes put Newcastle in front. João Cancelo's deflected effort levelled things up for City on 39 minutes before 3 minutes later a superb flick from Ferran Torres from a Gundogan free kick made it 2-1 to the champions. But on the stroke of half-time, Joe Linton fouled in the box by Nathan Ake. Penalty not initially given, but VAR intervened. Kevin Friend then pointed to the spot and Joe Linton converted to make it 2-2 at the break. At the break, it's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. Emil Kraft heading home from a corner on 25 minutes put Newcastle in front. João Cancelo's deflected effort levelled things up for City on 39 minutes before 3 minutes later a superb flick from Ferran Torres from a Gundogan free kick made it 2-1 to the champions. But on the stroke of half-time, Joe Linton fouled in the box by Nathan Ake. Penalty not initially given, but VAR intervened. Kevin Friend then pointed to the spot and Joe Linton converted to make it 2-2 at the break. At the break, it's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. Emil Kraft heading home from a corner on 25 minutes put Newcastle in front. João Cancelo's deflected effort levelled things up for City on 39 minutes before 3 minutes later a superb flick from Ferran Torres from a Gundogan free kick made it 2-1 to the champions. But on the stroke of half-time, Joe Linton fouled in the box by Nathan Ake. Penalty not initially given, but VAR intervened. Kevin Friend then pointed to the spot and Joe Linton converted to make it 2-2 at the break. At the break, it's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. Emil Kraft heading home from a corner on 25 minutes put Newcastle in front. João Cancelo's deflected effort levelled things up for City on 39 minutes before 3 minutes later a superb flick from Ferran Torres from a Gundogan free kick made it 2-1 to the champions. But on the stroke of half-time, Joe Linton fouled in the box by Nathan Ake. Penalty not initially given, but VAR intervened. Kevin Friend then pointed to the spot and Joe Linton converted to make it 2-2 at the break. At the break, it's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. Emil Kraft heading home from a corner on 25 minutes put Newcastle in front. João Cancelo's deflected effort levelled things up for City on 39 minutes before 3 minutes later a superb flick from Ferran Torres from a Gundogan free kick made it 2-1 to the champions. But on the stroke of half-time, Joe Linton fouled in the box by Nathan Ake. Penalty not initially given, but VAR intervened. Kevin Friend then pointed to the spot and Joe Linton converted to make it 2-2 at the break. At the break, it's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. Emil Kraft heading home from a corner on 25 minutes put Newcastle in front. João Cancelo's deflected effort levelled things up for City on 39 minutes before 3 minutes later a superb flick from Ferran Torres from a Gundogan free kick made it 2-1 to the champions. But on the stroke of half-time, Joe Linton fouled in the box by Nathan Ake. Penalty not initially given, but VAR intervened. Kevin Friend then pointed to the spot and Joe Linton converted to make it 2-2 at the break. At the break, it's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. Emil Kraft heading home from a corner on 25 minutes put Newcastle in front. João Cancelo's deflected effort levelled things up for City on 39 minutes before 3 minutes later a superb flick from Ferran Torres from a Gundogan free kick made it 2-1 to the champions. But on the stroke of half-time, Joe Linton fouled in the box by Nathan Ake. Penalty not initially given, but VAR intervened. Kevin Friend then pointed to the spot and Joe Linton converted to make it 2-2 at the break. At the break, it's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. Emil Kraft heading home from a corner on 25 minutes put Newcastle in front. João Cancelo's deflected effort levelled things up for City on 39 minutes before 3 minutes later a superb flick from Ferran Torres from a Gundogan free kick made it 2-1 to the champions. But on the stroke of half-time, Joe Linton fouled in the box by Nathan Ake. Penalty not initially given, but VAR intervened. Kevin Friend then pointed to the spot and Joe Linton converted to make it 2-2 at the break. At the break, it's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. Emil Kraft heading home from a corner on 25 minutes put Newcastle in front. João Cancelo's deflected effort levelled things up for City on 39 minutes before 3 minutes later a superb flick from Ferran Torres from a Gundogan free kick made it 2-1 to the champions. But on the stroke of half-time, Joe Linton fouled in the box by Nathan Ake. Penalty not initially given, but VAR intervened. Kevin Friend then pointed to the spot and Joe Linton converted to make it 2-2 at the break. At the break, it's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. Emil Kraft heading home from a corner on 25 minutes put Newcastle in front. João Cancelo's deflected effort levelled things up for City on 39 minutes before 3 minutes later a superb flick from Ferran Torres from a Gundogan free kick made it 2-1 to the champions. But on the stroke of half-time, Joe Linton fouled in the box by Nathan Ake. Penalty not initially given, but VAR intervened. Kevin Friend then pointed to the spot and Joe Linton converted to make it 2-2 at the break. At the break, it's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. Emil Kraft heading home from a corner on 25 minutes put Newcastle in front. João Cancelo's deflected effort levelled things up for City on 39 minutes before 3 minutes later a superb flick from Ferran Torres from a Gundogan free kick made it 2-1 to the champions. But on the stroke of half-time, Joe Linton fouled in the box by Nathan Ake. Penalty not initially given, but VAR intervened. Kevin Friend then pointed to the spot and Joe Linton converted to make it 2-2 at the break. At the break, it's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. Emil Kraft heading home from a corner on 25 minutes put Newcastle in front. João Cancelo's deflected effort levelled things up for City on 39 minutes before 3 minutes later a superb flick from Ferran Torres from a Gundogan free kick made it 2-1 to the champions. But on the stroke of half-time, Joe Linton fouled in the box by Nathan Ake. Penalty not initially given, but VAR intervened. Kevin Friend then pointed to the spot and Joe Linton converted to make it 2-2 at the break. At the break, it's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. Emil Kraft heading home from a corner on 25 minutes put Newcastle in front. João Cancelo's deflected effort levelled things up for City on 39 minutes before 3 minutes later a superb flick from Ferran Torres from a Gundogan free kick made it 2-1 to the champions. But on the stroke of half-time, Joe Linton fouled in the box by Nathan Ake. Penalty not initially given, but VAR intervened. Kevin Friend then pointed to the spot and Joe Linton converted to make it 2-2 at the break. At the break, it's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. Emil Kraft heading home from a corner on 25 minutes put Newcastle in front. João Cancelo's deflected effort levelled things up for City on 39 minutes before 3 minutes later a superb flick from Ferran Torres from a Gundogan free kick made it 2-1 to the champions. But on the stroke of half-time, Joe Linton fouled in the box by Nathan Ake. Penalty not initially given, but VAR intervened. Kevin Friend then pointed to the spot and Joe Linton converted to make it 2-2 at the break. At the break, it's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. Emil Kraft heading home from a corner on 25 minutes put Newcastle in front. João Cancelo's deflected effort levelled things up for City on 39 minutes before 3 minutes later a superb flick from Ferran Torres from a Gundogan free kick made it 2-1 to the champions. But on the stroke of half-time, Joe Linton fouled in the box by Nathan Ake. Penalty not initially given, but VAR intervened. Kevin Friend then pointed to the spot and Joe Linton converted to make it 2-2 at the break. And it's a very warm welcome back to our independent off-tube studio commentary of what has been a really entertaining Friday night of action from the Premier League. It's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. As you were just hearing, heading into this second half, Emil Kraft heading Newcastle in front. João Cancelo and Ferran Torres then turning the game on its head. 2 goals in the space of just 185 seconds, but right on the stroke of half-time, Nathan Ake fouled Joe Linton in the box. Referee Kevin Friend took on the advice of VAR, pointed to the spot, and Joe Linton tucked home the resulting spot kick to make it 2-2. The second half underway, incidentally. No changes made by either Steve Bruce or Pep Guardiola, so it's as you were in terms of the 2 starting 11s. Newcastle going from left to right in this second half in their traditional black and white colours. City as well in their usual sky blue. Touch there for Newcastle skipper John Joe Shelvey, who rattled the crossbar of a free kick during that first half as well. And Newcastle looking to make strides down the right hand side with the lively Joe Willock. Early ball into the box. That appears to be a theme of his game, it has to be said. He likes to be direct and get the ball into dangerous areas as quickly as possible. Not the worst tactic at all, and he's been so successful since joining Newcastle. But that cross there straight into the hands of Scott Carson, who can take no blame on his first Premier League appearance in 10 years for either of the Newcastle goals. Ball with Ferran Torres now. It's a superb goal from him. Goal of the night so far. Flick from an Ilkay Gundogan free kick that put City in front late in that first half. Now Ake to Raheem Sterling. Back it goes towards Rodri. Eric Garcia on the halfway line. Gets it back off Gundogan. City did dominate the ball in that first half. Newcastle adopting the counter-attacking approach. Their ventures forward were few and far between, but they were impressive. Particularly after the opening 20 minutes. They struggled to get anything going during that period, but the first meaningful attack they had led to the goal. And from there they were a threat, although City continued to dominate the possession as they are at the start of this second half. Ake on the ball, feeds it into his central defensive colleague Eric Garcia, who sweeps out to the right hand side. Bernardo Silva turns, breaking forward. He's supported by Torres, who tries to return it down the line to Bernardo Silva. Back in it goes to Walker, who joins the attack. He pulls it to Gundogan. Gundogan sweeps it to the left hand side. Cancelo cutting in on his right foot. He's supported by Jesus. Jesus up against Joe Willock, steps in onto his right side, goes down under the challenge from Murphy, who pleads his innocence, but the referee has pointed for a free kick, which will be just a yard outside the left hand side of the Newcastle penalty area. Just a yard further towards the further towards the byline than the corner of the penalty box. So a lovely angle for the right foot of Ilkay Gundogan to whip this ball into that corridor of uncertainty. Makes it so difficult for Martin Dubravka to second guess whether the free kick is going to go for goal, whether someone's going to get a touch. Very difficult. Bernardo Silva is there as a left-footed option as well. It's a three-man Newcastle in wall. Gundogan does whip it into that corridor. It's missed by Shelvey at the front post. Well, actually, it wasn't missed because the referee's pointing for a corner, so it must have flicked off the head of John Joe Shelvey. Yeah, he's just got a touch on that and cleared it away for a corner, with players from both sides running in on Martin Dubravka's goal. Gundogan will trot across and take this resulting corner for City. Bernardo Silva there as a short option, but Gundogan does whip it into the area, headed away by Willock. St. Maximin now down the left-hand side, trying to get hold of possession. Supported by Shelvey, who hooks clear towards the halfway line, but City will be able to come again. Walker. Bernardo Silva. Gundogan still floating around on that right-hand side after taking the corner. Now Ake. Down the left it goes with Cancelo. He gets it back off Rodri. Nathan Ake involved once again. Garcia into the feet of Walker, midway inside the Newcastle half. Bernardo Silva back in towards Eric Garcia goes again. 5 minutes into this second half. Newcastle 0, Manchester City 0. Sterling gets it back off Gundogan. Nathan Ake almost in a left wing position. Interchanging with first Gundogan, now Cancelo. Cancelo was fouled there. A little bit of a bite from Jacob Murphy trying to pinch the ball back. Second free kick he's given away in quick succession. Only 2 players on yellow cards incidentally from the first half. One for either side. Ritchie for Newcastle and Rodri for Manchester City. Chance for City to look to whip the ball into the box once again though from this set piece. Again the protagonists over the ball are Bernardo Silva and Ilkay Gundogan. That'd be Bernardo Silva this time from the deeper area. In fact Gundogan's gone short to Cancelo. They've changed it up City. Walker now will lift it into the box. Different angle. Bernardo Silva's ran in there after being over the initial free kick, but his attempted ball across the face is cut out by St. Maximin, who then robs Gundogan of possession, and Gundogan trying to win the ball back fouls Alan St. Maximin, and Newcastle get a little bit of a reprieve with a free kick deep inside their own half. Opening exchanges of the second half, not quite as lively as the final few minutes of the first were. It's still Newcastle 0, Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. City doing the pressing as you would expect at the start of this second period, and they've had one really decent free kick from Ilkay Gundogan from the left-hand side that was whipped across the face of Martin Dubravka's goal, but flicked off the head of John Joe Shelvey and behind for a corner. No shots in anger really from either side so far in this second period, but City dominant as you would expect. It remains though 2-2. City coming forward again. Down the right hand side this time it's Ferran Torres. But he can't quite whip it down the line for Bernardo Silva, and he punches the turf in frustration there. Torres not happy with his pass. Be a throw in to Newcastle United then in their left back position. 7.5 minutes into this second half. Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2 then it remains. Matt Ritchie the throwing down the line towards St. Maximin, who was being held up by Garcia. He's got the ball again, St. Maximin, supported by Ritchie. It's squeezed through to Joe Linton. Now Willock can look to break forward. He's got Murphy supporting down the right hand side. Murphy returns it to Willock into the area. Again Ake coming across. This time he times his challenge well. Claims it should be a goal kick, but between the assistant and referee Kevin Friend, they point for a corner. And Newcastle have already scored from one corner in this game, so this will certainly give them encouragement. Kraft, you'd imagine, will once again come forward from the back. He scored his first Newcastle goal. Might fancy his second. He's joined in there by Federico Fernandez. Joelinton, Shelvey, St. Maximin all forward. Almiron on the edge of the area for this Matt Ritchie corner. This is against a much changed City defence and a completely new goalkeeper in Scott Carson. As Ritchie in swinging left-footed ball, really good delivery, flicks off the head of Rodri. Still not clear from a City point of view. Brilliant cross that from Matt Ritchie. He'll be disappointed no one in his team got on the end of it. St. Maximin keeping the attack alive down the left with the support of Almiron. Dummett then whips another dangerous looking ball into the box. Ricocheted off Joe Linton. Players jumping in front of him, missed it, and it just hit the forward. And away from danger it goes. City have it with Rodri. There's a poor ball though from him, cut out by Willock. Shelvey to Joe Linton. He was fouled by Rodri, but Newcastle have the ball, so Kevin Friend allows play to continue. Almiron shuffles it out to St. Maximin on the left-hand side. Chance for him to stretch his legs as he cuts infield. Finds Joe Linton, who gives it back to St. Maximin. Nicely worked from Newcastle. Murphy now, right-hand side, into the box he goes. Might fancy a shot, he does, Jacob Murphy. But it's well handled by Scott Carson, who got down low to his right-hand side. Had to hold that as well, with 2 or 3 Newcastle players bearing down on his goal, hoping and waiting for any potential spills. Not had much to do, Scott Carson. That was a decent, confidence-building save, shall we say. As I mentioned at the start of the second half, he cannot be considered at fault for either of the Newcastle goals. As Rodri for City inside the centre circle. Goes back to Garcia. Gundogan keeps it moving to the left-hand side. Cancelo into Ake. Back it goes to João Cancelo. Gundogan. City popping the ball around 40 yards from the Newcastle goal. Bernardo Silva likely to go through the gears now. Up against Almiron. Shuffle and a step over from Bernardo Silva. Let's work back to Garcia. Gundogan. Now Cancelo looking to take on Murphy. It's been a good battle down that side all match, and Murphy doing another good job there defensively. Oh, and he's not just doing a good job, he's coming away, and it's a real grapple there between Cancelo and Murphy. It is a free kick to Newcastle, and I wouldn't be surprised, and yes indeed, Kevin Friend is going to his notebook. Cancelo is clearly holding on there to the Newcastle player, and he joins teammate Rodri and the host Matt Ritchie in the referee's notebook. I mentioned in the first half, I've been really impressed with Jacob Murphy from a defensive point of view, mainly in this game, but his offensive qualities are well documented and well known, as he is naturally, or came through as a winger rather than a wing back. It's Cancelo's 5th yellow card of the season, incidentally. We're long and well beyond the possibility of that being a suspension, incidentally, as Dubravka sends the free kick long. Joelinton and Rodri tussling. It breaks the way of Cancelo, who hooks the ball forward. Dummett beats Sterling in the air. Almiron now to Ritchie on the left-hand side. Almiron's made a dart. Ritchie instead looks infield towards Willock, who gets the bear of Ake and strikes towards goal. Garcia on the cover, deflects it over the top for a corner. It needed blocking as well because it was goal-bound, the effort from Joe Willock. Awkward ball forward, bouncing into the feet of Willock, and Ake hesitant, waiting for it, stooping to head it, and Willock just nipped in front of him. Nathan Ake needed the help of his central defensive colleague there to come across and block it behind for a corner. Been a bit of a nervy game for Nathan Ake, difficult coming into the side, as he has been over this first season, not getting a regular run of things. He's given away a penalty. Little error there, and he looks like he's wincing a little bit actually as well, the Dutchman. Just holding that left elbow. He's not going to receive any treatment. He takes his place in the 6-yard box as Ritchie whips in another dangerous looking ball. Cleared at the front post on this occasion by Torres. Raheem Sterling for City now. Back to Jesus in a left-back position. He's released Torres with a lovely ball down the left-hand channel. Torres having to go all on his own. Shelvey comes across and rather crudely brings him down. That's another easy yellow card decision for Kevin Friend. Thumbs up from Shelvey, acknowledging the caution. Torres has stayed down, incidentally. You know, it's one of those from Shelvey. He probably actually didn't need to do it because there wasn't really any support for Torres, and Newcastle had plenty of bodies back, but the captain made the decision. It's his 7th yellow card of the campaign. 2 apiece then in terms of the scoreline and in terms of the yellow cards. Torres is still down, and let's say it was just a little clip of the ankles from Shelvey. However, he's landed awkwardly as he was running at plenty of pace. Looking at the ankles, the Manchester City doctors. The Champions League final around the corner, Euro 2020 as well around the corner. No players want to be running the risk of an injury at this stage of the season because it could prove rather catastrophic. Let's hope that's not the case for the scorer of Manchester City's 2nd goal this evening, a man who's been in good form towards the end of the season. You imagine he's going to have a more prominent role to play next term. He's back on his feet, which is good to see him. Looks like he's moving okay. Doesn't look like City are going to be forced into a change. He's not happy with the challenge, I don't think, Torres, which you can understand. It's one of those frustrating ones that everyone does on both teams, on all teams really. It's another free kick in this left-hand channel though for City, with Gundogan and Bernardo Silva standing over the ball. A little bit more of a central angle than the last one, and it will be Bernardo Silva to lift it deep towards the far post. Should be Dubravka's, and he claims that well under a bit of pressure there, and quickly looks to get Newcastle going on the counter-attack down the left-hand side. It's Willock, supported by Almiron. Joelinton's getting forward as well. Almiron will have to Wait, he's held up by Walker. Finds Joe Linton now, who leaves it for Willock, who skips beyond Eric Garcia. Walker gets back. That's a challenge, and the referee, I think, is pointing to the spot once again. It's the second penalty that Manchester City have conceded in this game. Willock too quick for Kyle Walker. We don't say that very often, do we? And Walker's not complaining. Willock took over from Joe Linton, burst past Garcia, and Walker coming across. Doesn't look like there's too much contact, but certainly enough to knock Willock off his stride, and a penalty has been given. VAR, of course, will be having a look. But Walker looks like he knows that he's committed a foul there. I wonder if it'd be Joe Linton to take the spot kick again, or whether Willock might fancy it himself. No Callum Wilson this evening, of course, through injury. I'm sure he would have been the front and centre to take the penalties, but it is going to be Joe Willock, it looks like. Looking to score yet again in the Premier League for Newcastle United. He scored in 3 games in a row before tonight, 4 in his last 5. Can he add to that, the Arsenal loanee? The penalty has been confirmed. Willock steps up right-footed. Oh, it's saved by Carson. Comes back to Willock, who scores on the rebound. And Newcastle are back in front in this topsy-turvy Premier League game. It's been a fantastic watch. Credit to Scott Carson. Guessed the right way, low down to his left-hand side. On the follow-up, Willock is there, though he actually stumbles, but still has time to just about get back up and steer the ball into the back of the net. Frustration for Scott Carson and Manchester City, but joy for Joe Willock. What a Friday night of Premier League action this is proving to be. It's Newcastle 3, Manchester City 2. A second Newcastle goal from the penalty spot. Joe Willock fouled in the area by Kyle Walker. He stepped up himself this time after Joe Linton had been fouled and scored the first penalty. Willock stepped up after being fouled for the second, but his effort was saved well by Scott Carson, low down to his left-hand side. But on the follow-up, Willock was there first to fire home into the empty net. He's on a rich vein of goal-scoring form, and more importantly, from a Newcastle point of view, he's put them back in front against the champions. Newcastle 3, Manchester City 2. Yeah, an element of luck, of course, from Willock following up on the rebound. Really good save from Carson from the penalty. Disappointing for him on his big night. His last appearance in the Premier League over 10 years ago, which, as I mentioned in the first half, was for West Brom and also at St James's Park. It finished 3-3. Maybe we're on course for even more goals than that as City come forward. Now it's Rodri into the path of Bernardo Silva. Worked out to Jesus on the right-hand side, flashes it into the box, and Ferran Torres is there. And we have matched that scoreline I mentioned from Scott Carson's last Premier League appearance. It is Newcastle 3, Manchester City 3, and Ferran Torres. I mentioned Willock's on a goal-scoring hot streak. So is the Spaniard, his second of the game. The 6th goal of the match. It's just probing from City, as they've done throughout this game. Jesus does really well down the right-hand side, gets the cross in, and 6 yards out. Torres can't really finish. Can't really miss. And it makes it Newcastle 3, Manchester City 3. We've still got the best part of half an hour to play in this game. Who knows what the scoreline's going to end up? Well, Newcastle's lead has only lasted a matter of seconds, really, as Newcastle 3, Manchester City 3, and Ferran Torres, with his second goal of the game, has restored parity in this really, really entertaining match. It was good work by Gabriel Jesus down the right-hand side to set up the goal. He gets to the byline, pulls it back 6 yards out. Torres sliding, turns the ball into the roof of the net. Not quite as spectacular as his first goal of the night, but it's got City back on level terms. We've still got a long way to go in this game, and it's already Newcastle 3, Manchester City 3. What a game this really is proving to be, as Gundogan now for City down the left-hand side. Looking to get the champions going once again. They've twice come from behind. Newcastle have done it once already in this game, and Newcastle breaking forward again. Almiron, he can't quite squeeze it through to Joe Linton, but it breaks back to the Paraguayan, who finds Murphy down the right-hand side. Murphy's got the better. Cancelo drives into the penalty area. Ake well placed at the front post to cut out the deflected ball in, and then Kraft fouls Sterling midway inside the City half. It's such a threat. They're so exciting, Newcastle, with this new I wouldn't even say it's new counter-attacking style, but the style that they've been able to adopt with having St. Maximin in particular back in the team. That's certainly helping proceedings. There's a strike from Cancelo. It's blocked. It hits the post and comes back out to Ferran Torres, who has a hat-trick. And City now lead Newcastle by 4 goals to 3. This 21-year-old Spain international is really coming of age now in a Manchester City shirt. We've got another goal. That's 3 goals in the space of 4 minutes, it would seem. City breaking forward, worked into the feet of Gundogan 40 yards out. He tees up Cancelo, who's already got one himself. He's allowed to cut on his right foot. Curling effort towards goal. Hits the base of the post, comes to Torres. I will hold fire just a second because I wonder if Ferran Torres is offside when Cancelo has the initial shot. That will be touch and go. It'll be really, really harsh on Torres if it's ruled out. A hat-trick goal as well. The lines, I imagine, will come out to check that. It may prove onside. From Torres' point of view, he'll be certainly hoping it is. And indeed, the goal has stood. The decision, the VAR check was a lot quicker than I was expecting. So City do lead by 4 goals to 3. What a game this is. It's Newcastle 3, Manchester City 4. A hat-trick for Ferran Torres. 2 goals from him in the space of just a couple of minutes. João Cancelo, the architect of the goal. He had an effort from fully 25 yards out that beat Martin Dubravka. All ends up in the Newcastle goal. It hit the base of the post, but broke back to Torres, who finished first time on the volley. Huge smile on his face as he celebrated the hat-trick. There was a suspicion he might have been offside. VAR had a check. He was fine, he was onside, and City lead for the second time on the night. It's Newcastle 3, Manchester City 4. Yeah, and we still have a quarter of the game to go then. Really, really don't know which way this game is going to finish. It's been a really entertaining game. We're all hoping it would be, with 2 sides with nothing much to play for. The pressure off at the end of the season. It can go one way or the other. It can be brilliant. It can be a real damp squib, but it's been the former, thankfully. As I say, there's plenty of time for more entertainment to come, as there's a foul there on João Cancelo, who's rolling around in a degree of pain on the halfway line. They need to receive some treatment. Joe Linton it was with the challenge, just trying to block the ball there. Joe Linton treads on the foot of João Cancelo, which will be painful. He's back on his feet quickly enough, though, the Portuguese. Newcastle 3, Manchester City 4. Then we've not seen any changes, actually, from either manager as of yet. As you were in terms of the personnel, the same ones that started the match. A match that's flown by so far. Kyle Walker for Manchester City. Unusual to see City concede 3 goals this season. Certainly since the end of the autumn, they've been so defensively assured. Walker has been a big part of that, carrying the ball forward. Flicks it into the feet of Gundogan, who steps away from Dummett. Like a cross from the right hand side, Ilkay Gundogan. He's supported by Jesus. Back in it goes to Rodri, who returns it to Gabriel Jesus. Gundogan. Down to Cancelo. Newcastle can't afford to let him shoot again. Sterling now. Back into João Cancelo. Sterling then loses possession, trying to lay it off for Bernardo Silva. Pinched back by Willock. And then Joe Linton almost, well, he did lose possession, but he's bailed out there by the referee, giving a free kick in his favour. Newcastle 3, Manchester City 4 it remains. Pep Guardiola looking pretty relaxed on the sidelines. As I say, pressure off both teams, and it seems to have allowed them to put on a really, really entertaining show. Newcastle have actually had more shots in this second half and more touches in City's box than City have in theirs. They've shown a bit more attacking intent than they did during the first. I feel like they've scored every time they've gone forward though, Newcastle. City though, when they've gone through the gears, have also looked at a real threat. Neither goalkeeper's really had a save to make, but neither has either goalkeeper really made a mistake. So it's just been one of those games when the shooting has happened. It's been pretty clinical. The only save I remember of note from either keeper was Carson's from the Willock penalty, but Willock took home the rebound for Newcastle anyway. City come forward again. Garcia to Cancelo. Closed down by Willock. He's chasing his own block, but he won't be able to keep that in play on the near touchline. Had another impressive game though, Joe Willock. Really worked hard. There's a real dynamism to Newcastle's play from midfield. Kyle Walker now for Manchester City carries it over the halfway line. Works out towards Gabriel Jesus. Into Garcia once again. Cancelo closed down by Willock once more. Finds Ake. Now Gundogan has a little bit of space to turn into. He's supported by Sterling down the left. Sterling into Cancelo. Cross on the right foot straight onto the head of Paul Dummett. Joe Linton, was he fouled there? No, says the referee. He's frustrated there. He felt he was pushed over by Nathan Ake. City will come again. Rodri. Last 10 minutes, City have had 89% possession. It's not even a surprising statistic when it comes to Manchester City, is it? They've kind of blown away all those possession statistics out of the water. They're so dominant. But yeah, since falling 3-2 behind, that just shows the way they've stormed back into the game. And of course they've scored 2 goals to now lead the match in that time as well, as Walker switches the ball to Sterling, left hand side, and it goes to Cancelo. Rodri, edge of the box, can't quite return it to João Cancelo. This is where Newcastle can look to spring an attack, but Willock asking too much of St. Maximin on that occasion. City will come again. Rodri. Cancelo worked out to Gundogan on the left-hand side. Such fluidity to Manchester City's play as always. Raheem Sterling. Back into Ilkay Gundogan. Moving it around Manchester City. Newcastle will naturally be tiring. They've done so much work off the ball. But that's a poor pass from Garcia. Picked off by Almiron. Almiron now looking for a counter-attacking pass. It wasn't initially on, but he has now found St. Maximin on the left. St. Maximin will try and switch to the right. What a switch that is from Alan St. Maximin. Finds Murphy. Murphy driving in field. Flicks it round the corner. Willock, can he get a shot away? Joe Willock, he can, but it's wide of the target. But there is the counter-attacking threat of Newcastle United once again. Still, Newcastle 3, Manchester City 4. It's been about 10 minutes since we had a goal, which in this game feels like a long time, but it's certainly not over yet, with City having scored those 2 quick-fire goals to turn the game back in their favour. Newcastle still looking a threat on the counter-attack. Joe Willock's just fired wide on the angle after being slipped through by Jacob Murphy. Newcastle haven't seen much of the ball. Manchester City, a statistic flashed up a few minutes ago, 89% possession over a 10-minute period. But that counter-attack from Newcastle means the champions still have to be careful at the back. It remains Newcastle 3, Manchester City 4. And we've just seen the first change of the match. Benjamin Mendy has come on for Manchester City to replace João Cancelo. So straight swap at left-back. Pretty much the third choice in that position now, Mendy. Behind Cancelo and, in the big games, it would seem, behind Alexander Zinchenko as well. So he'll be looking to put in a performance then in these final 15-20 minutes or so. Zinchenko not amongst the substitutes this evening, incidentally, for City. Cancelo was on a yellow card as well, which could have been in the thinking of Pep Guardiola, as Mendy gets his first touch, pulls it back to Gundogan. Gundogan to Rodri and back out to Benjamin Mendy again. That's an early cross into the box, decent delivery, headed away, diving header clear by Federico Fernandez. Mendy takes the corner quickly to Nathan Ake. Sorry, the throw-in quickly to Nathan Ake, I should say. Gundogan. And it goes to Eric Garcia. Kyle Walker gets it back off Bernardo Silva. Another very calm and efficient performance from Bernardo Silva. Sterling. Back into Walker it goes. Walker will switch to the fresh leg Mendy on the left-hand side. No look pass through him as he cushions it into Gundogan, who returns it to the Frenchman, who's crossed towards the far post, has too much on it. Bernardo Silva might be able to keep it in play. He has just about. Although Walker can't get the better of Almiron, and now Newcastle can break forward. It's 3-on-2. Almiron, St. Maximin to his left. Joe Linton to his right. Can't quite squeeze it through to Joe Linton, who perhaps should have made a wider run there. Kind of closed the angle of the pass for Almiron and made it easy for Ake to cut out. Well, cut out as it was by Nathan Ake. There's that threat of Newcastle on the counter-attack again. It's, you know, Newcastle have had their critics this season. Steve Bruce has probably been criticised more than any other manager, but he's just won Manager of the Month for April. And he's got his team playing. Yes, they sit back for most of the time, but on the counter-attack, they're really, really fun to watch. The last couple of games, this one against City and against Leicester last Friday, where they won 4-2, it's really been a bit of a breath of fresh air, it has to be said, as Gundogan for City. Away from Willock, into the area, tries a little give and go with Sterling. Back out of the box, Gundogan goes and he tries to curl one goalwards, but that's well wide of the target from the German. But he gets a round of applause from Pep Guardiola on the sidelines. Must be quite chilly on the northeast this evening. Guardiola's wrapped up in what I would describe as a winter-looking jacket anyway. We enter the final 13 minutes plus stoppage time at the end of this amazing Friday night of football. If the rest of the weekend's action's anything to go by, then we're going to be in for a bit of a treat, aren't we, as Mendy for City. And it goes to Ake. Cross to Kyle Walker. Now, Jesus has primarily been from the right-hand side, particularly in this second half. That's where he set up the goal for Ferran Torres, the second of the Torres goals. It's hard to keep track, isn't it? We've had 7, we've had a hat-trick, we've had 2 penalties, VAR decisions. We've had everything, haven't we, really? No red card as of yet, but we don't want to advertise for that. We just want to see the goals and entertainment as Ake down the left-hand channel to Mendy for Manchester City. Exchanges passes with Gundogan. Newcastle maybe just catching a breather now as they go for the last push in the final 10 minutes. It's timing your push against Manchester City, because if you leave spaces at the back, then City are more than likely to exploit that. Bernardo Silva drifting in from the right, finds Gundogan. Ake. To Ilkay Gundogan it goes. Mendy seeing a lot of the ball since coming on, feeds it into Sterling. First time pass back out to Bernardo Silva. Gundogan steps away from Willock, steps away from Shelvey, who's on a yellow card, into the area. Looking for support, finds it in Rodri, but he's challenged by St. Maximin. Now can Newcastle look to counter? Almiron though stopped by Rodri. There'll be a free kick which Shelvey takes quickly, looking early over the top, and he's found Joe Linton, who's held up by Ake and will need to wait for support. Gets it in the form of Matt Ritchie. Ritchie will cross. He's looking towards Murphy at the far post, but Mendy will easily cut that out. 1 or 2 Newcastle players look a little bit out on their feet at the moment. Sterling. Across to Jesus. Can City capitalise? There was a few bodies committed forward in black and white on that latest counter-attack. Willock's got back in. He's got a fantastic engine, hasn't he, the on loan Arsenal man. Jesus for City. Rodri. Gundogan to Sterling. They just slow things down again, City. Don't need to force the issue at 4-3 up. Mendy. Now Rodri. Rodri will just lift the ball over towards the right-hand side, where Walker can pirouette and roll it down the channel to Bernardo Silva, who returns it to Kyle Walker. Now Garcia. Nathan Ake. City in control, you would say, but with that asterisk next to the word control because of that counter-attacking potential of Newcastle United. Gabriel Jesus drifts in from the right-hand side. Another City goal you would imagine would seal the 3 points for the champions. Mendy. Gundogan. Rodri will go back into Nathan Ake now. And down the channel to Benjamin Mendy. Just a stat on Ferran Torres. He's the youngest player to score a league hat-trick for a Pep Guardiola team, beating a record that was held by Lionel Messi. Torres just 21 years and 75 days old. Fantastic achievement for him. Messi was 22 years and 200 days old, incidentally, when he did it for Barca back in January 2010 against Tenerife. There is the man of the moment, Torres, who will be taking the match ball home with him. Finds Walker down the right-hand side. Jesus up against Ritchie. Some support, maybe Gabriel Jesus. He'll try and work an angle for a cross. He does now pull it back to Walker. City don't put many regulation balls into the box from wide areas, and they instead do work it back to their goalkeeper now, Scott Carson. Finds Ake. Because when Scott Carson last played in the Premier League 10 years ago, there would have been so much emphasis on goalkeepers passing out from the back and acting as sweepers. I'm sure he's learnt plenty under his time working with Pep Guardiola over the last couple of years. Again, he's conceded 3 goals at St James's Park, though, like he did a decade ago when playing for West Brom. That match ended 3-3 in May 2011. It can't happen this evening because it's 4-3 to City. But Newcastle could still get something from this game as Ake for the visitors. Give and go between him and Bernardo Silva. Now Walker down the right hand channel, where again Jesus is hugging the touchline. He drifts in away from Ritchie. It's interesting that Jesus has played primarily from the right in the second half, with Torres, who's capitalised with goals in the central striking role. Torres there gets a touch, works it out to Walker. Early crossing with plenty of pace, just too high in the end. Martin Dubravka went through it, the Newcastle goalkeeper, but he pulled out at the last minute and let it drift behind for a goal kick. And that is going to signal what will be a double Newcastle United change. Sean Longstaff is coming on, and I think it may well be Jamal Lewis as well. Yeah, it looks like Lewis will replace Matt Ritchie. The left wing back role, and Joe Linton is the other man coming off. Longstaff coming on. Fresh legs for Newcastle. Lewis is like for like for Ritchie, but Longstaff a midfielder for Joe Linton, but maybe Almiron or Willock will push further forward to support St Maximin and give them that even more pace on the counter-attack, and Longstaff might enable them to get the ball back and more bite in the middle of the park as Dubravka's long ball forward, headed by Ake. Drops to Kraft for Newcastle. Murphy now clips it down the right-hand channel. Willock will give chase. The bounce just went away from him slightly, and Garcia came across on the cover. Hooks the ball down the line. Murphy and Sterling jostling. Murphy does well initially, but then he's lost out and he's fouled Ferran Torres right in front of Pep Guardiola and Steve Bruce. I think it's just a missed time on there for Murphy. No real complaints. Free kick given by Kevin Friend. No need for the yellow card. 5.5 minutes plus stoppage time to play in this match. It's a Premier League game you could watch all night, really. It's been that entertaining. Newcastle 3, Manchester City 4. Bringing you independent off-tube studio commentary of this big clash between the champion City and the Newcastle side that had their survival confirmed earlier this week on Monday when Fulham were beaten by Burnley. And they've been playing although it's been defensively solid and based on the counter-attack, they have played with the shackles off at times, Newcastle. There's Kraft down the line. Murphy trying to flick it onto Longstaff. It actually comes to St. Maximin, who holds off Mendy. Need a bit of support, Alan St. Maximin. He's full of tricks and manages to offload the ball to Kraft. Fernandez now for Newcastle. Rare bit of possession for the Newcastle centre-backs. Dummett hooks it forward. It's missed by Almiron. Willett can't get there either. It's picked off by Rodri and worked out to Gabriel Jesus on the left-hand side for Manchester City. Supported by Bernardo Silva. Rodri comes across as well. Now Walker in a central position. Doing the Cancelo fullback to central midfield role there. Sterling. Out to Mendy. Back into Raheem Sterling it goes. He'll be wanting to get his name on the score sheet. Gundogan, who is City's top scorer, just rolls the ball back into the feet of Garcia. It was a risky pass from Eric Garcia, almost picked off by Almiron. Rodri now for Manchester City, into the feet of Bernardo Silva, who goes back to former Atletico Madrid player Rodri. Walker again in a central role. To Jesus. Rodri once more just calmly clips the ball out to Nathan Ake. You can see Newcastle have tired in this game, but they're still trying to bite at the heels of the City players. Nick the ball back as Sterling whips a nice ball down the corner. Mendy, low ball, cut back towards the edge of the box. He's only found Shelvey though. Newcastle try and play their way out with Longstaff and Murphy. Murphy will be happy to settle the throw there off Ilkay Gundogan. 3 minutes plus stoppage time to play. We're going to see another Newcastle change. It is a forward-thinking one from Steve Bruce. Dwight Gale is going to come on. So I see the number of the man he's replacing. It's going to be Federico Fernandez. So Steve Bruce is well and truly going for this. Central defender off, centre forward on for these final few minutes. Newcastle now don't have a natural centre half on the pitch because Fernandez was the only one really in that central three. Dummett and Kraft primarily full-backs, although particularly Dummett has played the role as a third centre-back quite regularly. There'll be a two now, I'd imagine, although Shelvey looks like he might even have dropped into that position at least temporarily as Longstaff gives away a foul on the Manchester City left-hand side. Mendy in no rush to get on with proceedings with the free kick. Leaves it for Rodri. Rodri looks like he might leave it for Gundogan. They're just happy to run down the clock, Manchester City. Rodri eventually does take it into Bernardo Silva. Swept across to Walker. Now Jesus. Flicks it across to Benjamin Mendy and back into the feet of Mendy once more. Now Gundogan. Worked infield to Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva will get it across to Kyle Walker. Now Nathan Ake on the halfway line for Manchester City. Gives it back down the line to Ilkay Gundogan. Torres drops deep. Banging his heel is Almiron. Torres does well to step away from a couple of challenges there. He might fancy a fourth goal. Strikes towards goal. It's blocked by Shelvey. And hooked clear by Jamal Lewis. Are we going to have one last twist in this game? Newcastle 3, Manchester City 4. We're into the final 35 seconds of the 90. Interesting to see how much Kevin Friend adds on for stoppages at the end of the match. Ake to Sterling. Back to Nathan Ake once more. He steps away from St. Maximin. There's a short ball though from Ake, picked off by Murphy. He bites back though, Ake, and with the help of Mendy wins it back off Alan St. Maximin. Dummett is too strong for Torres in the air. And then there's a handball by Almiron in the centre of the park, and that will be a free kick to Newcastle United. 5 minutes of stoppage time then at the end of the match. There is still time in this game for someone to find an equalising goal. Bernardo Silva flicks it out towards Gabriel Jesus. Jesus gets the better of Lewis, drives it into the middle, but it's blocked by Dummett and out of play for a throw-in. City looking for the 5th goal, I should say. Newcastle the ones looking for the equaliser. As it stands, Premier League champions are going to be celebrating their first match back as champions by winning the game. Newcastle 3, Manchester City 4. Bernardo Silva goes back into his own half with Garcia. Ake now down the line. Sterling flicked around the corner. Gundogan. Oh, there's space for Mendy. That's nicely worked by City. Mendy goes for the early ball. Cut out by Dummett, who turns it behind for a corner. Benjamin Mendy had space to run into there. Surprised he didn't take that option. Could have broke into the penalty area and potentially had a shot himself, or been able to cut it back for Torres, who was the man he was aiming the early ball at. Had the first minute of the 5 allocated for stoppages at the end of the match. Newcastle 3, Manchester City 4. Gundogan in no rush to come across and take this corner for Manchester City, who have certainly been in a game in this match. The German doesn't look like there's an obvious ball for him to go short, so maybe he's going to whip this into the box. Indeed he is. Up towards the 6-yard box, claimed by Dubravka. Pep Guardiola might not be happy with that. He certainly won't be if Newcastle can break and punish City. Almiron, there's plenty of players in black and white getting forward on this counter. Jamal Lewis is one of those. He is fresh-legged. Pulls it back to Willock. It's held up by Jesus. But he gets the free kick, Joe Willock. He has stayed down. Must be in a degree of pain, actually, as well, grasping at his right leg. Jesus just caught him slightly there. Flick of the left boot. I think Willock should be okay. Yeah, he's back on his feet now. Newcastle have worked the free kick short to the on-loan Arsenal man, who clips the ball into the box. Looking towards the head of Dummett, who nods it down. He got the better of Ake. Flick clear by Walker. Comes to Murphy for Newcastle. He has his pocket picked though by Torres. Lewis on the cover slides in and puts it out for a throw-in. Halfway through the 5 minutes of stoppage time then. Newcastle 3, Manchester City 4. Ferran Torres, the hero for Manchester City, it would seem, if the hat-trick he scored, pretty much you'd imagine will guarantee him the Man of the Match award as well. Young Spaniard. Most goals in the match, most shots on target, most shots altogether as well. As Manchester City just have a couple of minutes to hold out then at the end of this match. Newcastle in possession though. Sean Longstaff. What a poor ball in field from him. Straight to Kyle Walker. Out to Jesus on the right hand side, cutting in, trying to work a shooting angle. It comes to Gundogan now. He will strike towards goal, but he hasn't quite had his shooting boots on this evening, Ilkay Gundogan, and that goes well over the top of the crossbar. Steve Bruce on the edge of his technical area. He'll be delighted with the application his side have put in this game. We've really gone toe-to-toe with Manchester City, but unless there is some late drama, like we got in stoppage time at the end of the first half, it has to be said. But if we don't get that again, then it looks like his side will be ending the game empty-handed. Long ball forward there from Rodri. He's picked up by Gabriel Jesus. Excuse me. Supported by Bernardo Silva. Rodri again. Gets it back off the hat-trick hero Torres and sweeps it out to Benjamin Mendy on the left-hand side. Raheem Sterling getting involved. Just 30 seconds of stoppage time remaining then. City have Newcastle exactly where they want them. Bernardo Silva. Not sure if Dwight Gale's touched the ball since coming on for Newcastle. He's giving chase now. Torres plays it down. Walker plays it down the line to Gabriel Jesus. Now into Raheem Sterling. Can't quite release Torres. Shelvey intercepts. Is there time for One last Newcastle counter. It's hooked forward by Longstaff. Almiron will give chase, but on the cover, Eric Garcia is there. He goes back to Scott Carson, who looks like he's going to make a winning Manchester City debut, and indeed he is, because the final whistle has blown. Pep Guardiola and Steve Bruce exchange pleasantries. It's all smiles on the sidelines. City have set a new English record by winning 12 consecutive top-flight games. They've beaten Newcastle then at St James's Park in a